We're back to the Neil Haley Show, and I'm excited first to welcome my co-host, Paul Hollis, author of the Hollow Man series and owner of Hollow Man Publishing and American Made VA. Paul, how are you? I know you're excited about our guest, and her book is coming out soon, but she's a romance novelist and also a romance expert. Paul, who's our guest?
Absolutely. We have Mina Valentine today, and she is a wonderful writer. I've read her books and so far, and she is terrific. And you're going to hear a lot more about her in the near future.
Hey,
Yay for
Mina,
me.
thank you, Mina, for stopping by. My first question for you is, what do you think makes romance novels so enduringly popular among readers?
There's so much in every generation. There's always international problems, there's crime, there's politics, family problems, and all novels people read because they want to escape. The difference with a romance novel, and romance novels have to have a happy ending. We call them HEAs, happily ever after. And so a reader can look at the book or read the book and see how the protagonist female and the protagonist male go through all kinds of strife, but ultimately they reconnect. We're all looking for love. We all want it and want to give it. And this kind of gives some people hope or at least happiness. And that helps to release those hormones that make you happy.
That's that's the important thing, happiness, because a lot of people's lives, either the relationship hasn't worked anymore, or they're single, which is a huge amount of people nowadays have become single. I don't know the numbers, and I'm looking forward in the next couple of weeks before your book comes out to talk about these things and also bring this out in social media. Here's the next
Right.
question. How has the romance genre evolved over the years, and what trends do you see currently shaping it?
Oh gosh. The first recognized, or AI recognizes the first romance, but it was a poem with a happy ending. And it was written by a Sumerian in 2100 BC. The first romance novel that got any recognition was written in 1740 by a man. The name of the book is Pamela. Since then, there was a resurgence with Jane Austen, and then the Brontes. Then World War One, you saw a lot of romance novels coming from that. There was two women authors. The only one I can think of right now is Georgia Hare, but she really put some fire under the romance novels. Today, the biggest selling romance novels are contemporary. And that makes sense because 10 years ago, the majority of the readers were between 35 and 65. And now, today, it's 18 to 65. And the reason for that is very simple if you look at it. They grew up in the computerized world. Amazon, they first came up with books. And now we have Kindle. And so they know how to work all that. And they want to read about themselves. So in 22, the revenue from romance novels was $1.44 billion. Yeah. And it's a pretty it's a pretty good
Yeah. No,
pick.
it's definitely, and it's been in so many ways. I'm going to go to the next part of that question because that was a deep dive, but such good history. Mina, I'm like, wow, and it makes sense. But it all goes back to, as you said, happiness
Right.
and the current trends that's shaping such a boom with contemporary. Why contemporary? Why not present day romance?
Contemporary is the present day. Uh, we're we have the group, the baby boomers were fading out, right? And we've got a huge group of young adults. And like I said, they want to read about themselves. They want to see themselves reflected in some way. There's a huge group that love historical novels. But with contemporary, and the reason why it's selling so well is we have this demographic of same-sex romances, interracial romances. All, they even have Amish romances.
No way.
Yeah, it's bizarre. And there are some romances that are a little on the more erotic side. I read one and it's not for me, but certainly there's an audience out there for it. But I think the main thing that you come up with, like you said, is they want to root for these people. You got to have the characters that are deep, that resonate, and regardless of the type of book, regardless of the novel, it has to have a great narrative and it has to have great dialogue. And that's what endears people.
Do you believe that the portrayal of relationships in romance novels has an impact on societal views of love and romance?
There was a journal article written in 1999 by, what was her name? Christine Jarvis. And she did a study on young adults and contemporary romance. And she found that those romance novels can, and that's the important word, can have some impact on what the reader expects out of understanding romance and love. You can agree with that or not. That's one study.
And there's a lot more studies to come. And soon everyone needs to go and find you, as you'll be soon available on all social media as Mina Valentin. We're going to have more and more questions to come and more updates when your first book is launched, correct? It's coming soon.
Yes, very soon.
All right. Thank you again, Mina.
Thank you for having me.
You're listening and watching The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.